choice do we have?
Okay, so let me give you one example. I take you to be saying that there's something inherently bad about the irrational influence of religion, and I would like to move the subject soon to the question of how should we confront, what strategically should we do about cases where undeniably religion has become intertwined with bad and does help motivate people to do bad, which I certainly don't deny. But first, I just want to clarify the meaning of your subtitle and your position on the intrinsic badness of the irrational influence of religion. I just want to give you a case where I think the irrational influence of religion was good, and let me know, A, if you agree, B, if you find that inconsistent with your thesis. I was raised a Southern Baptist, in El Paso, Texas, in the early 60s. This is around the time that the Civil Rights Act was being passed, and it was, Texas was certainly not the state where it was most popular. And there I was, a 7 or 8 year old or something, subject to the irrational influence of the Southern Baptist Church. And what was going on in that church was that every week in Sunday school we sang the song "Jesus Loves You," which includes the words Jesus loves the little children, which includes the words "red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight." And I cannot imagine that did not reinforce in my mind the idea that black people are just as valuable morally as white people. It reinforced it in an irrational way. It wasn't like a logical argument. It was drawing on my irrational devotion at that time to God. It seems to me that was a positive effect of religion, and I think I could point to many others, not to mention all the people working in soup kitchens under religious inspiration and so on. But A, do you deny that's an example of the good use?
No, not at all, any more than I would deny. I mean, some people appear to say that if it wasn't for their belief in God, they wouldn't be giving money, say, to charities in Africa. Okay. I mean, I find it an alarming admission. They say it's because I'm a Christian that I do it. They say, what, if you lost your faith, you'd stop caring about Africans? I never quite understand that. But let's say, I grant it happily, that some people make that their reason, and perhaps it gives them additional motivation. I'm quite content. I take them at their word. My challenge on this point is the following. I'm sure I've tried it on you before. If I haven't, I'll try it on you now. You have to name a moral action or an ethical statement made by someone of faith or because of their faith that couldn't be made by me as an unbeliever. You won't be able to find one. And if you're telling me that without that verse, you would have thought, well, when it says Jesus loves the children, in itself a meaningless statement, but surely that doesn't mean black children. If you're saying otherwise, you might have thought that. I leave it to you to say so, but I really doubt it. I mean, the corollary to my point, by the way, the corollary question, find a moral or ethical statement that an unbeliever couldn't make or perform, is think of a bad thing done or said by a believer because of their religion. Now, you've immediately thought of one, and so has everyone who's watching this. But I love these games. And for example, the Reverend Bailey Smith, some big mouth idiot who was Jerry Falwell's deputy, once made an anti-Semitic statement that I thought was factually true. Shall I tell you what it is?
Sure.
God doesn't hear the prayers of a Jew, he said. I couldn't agree more. I don't think God does hear the prayers of a Jew or anyone else.
Right.
So you can, if you're a religious person, make a ridiculous statement that is consistent with some of the rules of rationality. But it's more likely to be a coincidence, I'd say, than anything else.
So you asked me if I could name a moral belief held by a religious person that could not be held by a secular person.
Moral action taken or statement made, yes.
And can you name for me an immoral action taken by a secular person that could not be taken by a religious person?
No, I think I'd have to accept
like
that would be.
And my point is sustained.
But we don't say that our morality is necessarily superior. We simply say that the reliance on the supernatural is superfluous at best, and can lead to wicked things. I've already instanced that you refused to take me up on it. Centuries of Christian preaching against the Jews, which I said, in the end, that was going to lead to evil. And you didn't take me up on it then, and you haven't since. You said, oh, well, that kind of thing could happen anywhere. I don't think so. It's a long inculcation of simple people with evil falsehoods in the name of a religion.
Now, religious doctrine does have some enduring effect. I'm not the most simplistic kind of, Marxist in that sense or materialist in that sense. I would just say that, back in those days, all good and bad things resulted from religion. Now, back when everyone was religion, all the good stuff and bad stuff was justified. When everyone was religious, all the good stuff and bad stuff was justified by religion. And yes, I do believe, by and large, most of the bad stuff was motivated fundamentally not by the religion, although justified in those terms. This is an almost metaphysical debate. I don't think there's any point in carrying it on a lot further.
I know I'd like to go on with it a little longer. By the way, since it's the second time you've mentioned Karl Marx, I think you may have noticed in my book, I quote what he actually did say about religion. Most people say that he denounced it just as an opiate. I quote what he says. It's from the introduction to his critique of Hegel's philosophy of Wright. He says, religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, the spirit of a spiritless situation. And then he says it can be an opiate for the people. He goes on to say, criticism of religion has plucked the flowers from the chain, and not in order that men and women may wear the chain without consolation, but so that they may break the chain and cull the living flower. Now, I perfectly understand why people have a need for the numinous, you might say, or the transcendent, the things that are part of our emotions that are not completely quantifiable, to do with music, poetry, love, landscape, and so forth. There's no question that these are essential for us, almost as much as food and drink is. But there's no need to postulate anything supernatural about them. I think that, in fact, they're enjoyed better if they don't come as gifts from someone who wants something back from you.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. One final point on this: is religion good or bad? Where I would say essentially neither. It's about equally capable of both. But you, in your book, you recount this question. I guess Dennis Prager confronted you with, where he said, "Admit it. If you're walking down the street, it's dark, there's nobody else. You see a stranger approaching out of the shadows. Could be, would you rather be a religious person or not a religious person?" Yes. Right? And your reply was, as I recall, what country did you pick where if you were in
Well, he said you had to imagine you're in a strange country, a strange town where you don't know anybody. This happens, it's evening's coming on, and you see a group of men coming towards you. Do you feel better or worse if you know they're coming from a prayer meeting? And I said, well, just without leaving the letter B, I've had that experience in Belfast, Beirut, Baghdad, Bombay. There's another B I'm not coming up with. Those four will do. And believe me, you don't want to be around when the church is let out in those places, or the mosques. You don't.
Oh, come on.
That's what I can't say that isn't what I said.
Well, what I was curious about was, honestly, if you did the thought experiment in the average American city, say you're in a part of town that could be a little dicey, all you know is whether that person is religious or not. Honestly, you would say in a part of town that's known to be dangerous and pervaded by crime, you would say, I would rather it be the not religious person in an American context?
Well, in a civilized, secular society with police force and enforceable laws and so on, I don't think it really makes very much difference. So I wouldn't want it to be the Nation of Islam's church, for example. No, but I mean, I think there one can, in a country that has managed to put religion under some kind of discipline and control, no, it doesn't apply. But look, there's a tautology involved in what both of us are saying, actually. When you say, well, people do bad things, but that's when everyone was religious, so everything, good or bad, was religious. And I say, well, I think religion has done some things that it would have taken a belief in God and supernatural permission to turn into wickedness. I still say that since religion is man-made, it is, if you like, also a secular product. But there is nothing more likely to intensify existing criminal, selfish, racist, enslaving, rapist, genital mutilation tendencies, suicidal and mass murdering tendencies, than the belief that you have a divine permission to do this. Mm-hmm. And the fact that that is a man-made invention, because there obviously can't be a divine permission in my worldview, doesn't get you off the hook. I say it's religion that poisons everything.
Well, actually,
the belief that you have a special right because you say you have faith.
I think we've uncovered instances where you don't think it poisons everything. Like when I was singing that song in Sunday school, I don't think you thought I was the subject of a poisonous bad thing at that point.
I would say, I've said, if you remember, I said it makes good people do bad things.